Hello students. We were doing the second chapter from Hornbill book, that is We Are Not Afraid to Die If We Can All Be Together. So we have completed 1.5 part of this chapter, and we have completed when the author was having everything like life raft drill, attached lifeline, don't, oilskin. Oilskin is it's a waterproof heavy cotton cloth, right, as well as life jacket. So all these things he just took it out because now the situation is becoming very worst. So for obviously for save his life and his family life, he needs all these things, right? So we have completed up till here. Next we are starting with this line. The first indication of impending disaster came at about 6 p.m. with an ominous silence. So here the narrator, he is like telling that the first indication which I got is disaster, and which come at about 6 p.m. Impending means which is actually about to happen, and it came about at 6 p.m. with an ominous silence. So obviously you might be knowing that if any disaster is going to occur, so before that it's like it's the situation is very silent. So it was like ominous silent. Ominous silent means threatening silence, right? Then the narrator is saying the wind dropped and the sky immediately grew dark. So finally the wind was very calm and sky turned into dark. Then came a growing roar and an enormous cloud towards aft of the ship. So here he's saying that when all of a sudden it just dropped it out, and sky turned to dark. And then finally I heard a very loud roar of enormous cloud, and I saw that enormous cloud was coming towards us to towered aft means it is coming towards us. Aft is near the stern of the ship, right? So he said like this cloud, this growing cloud is coming towards the aft of the ship. With horror, I realized that it was not a cloud but a wave like no other I had ever seen. So, here the narrator, he is saying that I was in terror, I was like in fear, and I realized that it was not actually a cloud, it was a wave like no other I had ever seen. And this is the first time I am seeing such a gigantic, huge wave. Before that, I never saw a wave like this. It appeared perfectly vertical and almost twice the height of the other wave. So here he is giving the description of the wave, that it appeared perfectly vertical. It's in vertical sides and it's twice. I mean the wave which he is facing. So he is saying that it was almost the twice of the other waves, with a frightful breaking crest. Frightful means like very unpleasant, or you can say shocking. Breaking crest means at the top of the wave. The roar increased to a thunder as the stern moved up the face of the wave, and for a moment I thought we might ride over it, but a tremendous explosion shook the deck. So the narrator, he is saying finally the roar of the waves was increasing higher and higher to a thunder at the stern move up, and finally the like stern of the ship, it moved up the face of the wave, and it finally just moved the face of the wave. And for a moment I thought we might ride over it, and just for a time being he was thinking that actually we are riding on it. But a tremendous means in very great amount, right? Explosion shook the deck. It just like hit the deck. Deck is the floor of the ship. So finally that wave hit the deck very loudly. A torrent of green and white water broke over the ship, and he is saying the torrent means the fast moving water of green, and he is saying that the color of the water was green and white, and it just came on a ship. And finally, what happened? My head smashed into the wheel, and I was aware of flying overboard and sinking below the waves. So finally, the water was all around in the on the ship, and he is saying that the torrent of green and white water broke over the ship, and my head smashed. Smash means shattered, or you can say violently broken, and so his head was just smashed on the wheel. So obviously his head was like hit by the wheel, and I was aware, and at that time he just became unconscious, because obviously it was like hit by the wheel. So he was aware of flying over, and he seems that he was flying on that waves and sinking below the waves, and he feel like this is the end of my chapter, and finally what will going to happen, I will going to sink below the waves. I accepted my approaching death as I was losing consciousness. I felt quite peaceful. And finally, what happened when water was all over in the ship and he was like drowning, right? He was sinking. So at that time, he saw death from very near, right? He faced death from very near. So he actually accepted his approaching death, and he at that time he just lose his consciousness, and I feel quite peaceful. And he's saying that at that time I was feeling very peaceful, that death is so near to me. Unexpectedly, my head popped out of the water, and finally, it was like unexpected for me that all of a sudden my head, which is inside the water and he was sinking, all of a sudden it just came out, popped out of the water. A few meters away, wave walker was near capsizing. So he is saying that few meters away, the wave walker, which was actually sinking, was overturned. Capsizing means overturned in the water, her mast almost horizontal, and by that wave, the wave walker just turned almost horizontal. Then a wave hurled. Hurl means throw with a great force. Her upright, my lifeline jerked taut. Taut means stretch, or you can say pulled tightly. I grabbed the guardrail and sailed through the air into the wave walker's main boom. Main boom me is the pole actually that control the angle and shape of the sail. So here the narrator is saying the wave just throw with a great force, and my head was upright. I'm having my lifeline jerked, and finally what I was doing, I just hold that guardrail and sail into the wave walker main boom. So he just started sailing and trying to save his life. Subsequently, wave tossed me around the deck like a rag doll, and now narrator is saying that what happened subsequently. I found that now wave is tossing me from one point to another point around the deck like a rag. Rag is like old doll. So like I am like ragging from one place to another place. My left ribs cracked, my mouth filled with blood. Obviously if you are, you will be tossed, you will be thrown from one place to another place, then from one place to another place, then definitely like you will be hit by something. So what happened, he was struggling inside the ship because the ship was sinking at this time. So he was struggling. So what happened, his left rib, it cracked. So you can see in this line, like he was so in painful, he was so struggling with these difficulties, these difficult situation, and he is saying that my mouth was all over filled with blood and broken teeth, and his teeth was also broken. Somehow I found the wheel lined up the stern for the next wave and hung on. And finally what happened, I found the wheel. He just by swimming, he just found the wheel, and he just went up to up the stern for the next wave and hung on. And finally when the next wave come, so automatically what happened, the ship came into its right position. I mean, the boat came into its right position. Water, water everywhere. I could feel that the ship had water below, but I dared not abandon the wheel to investigate. And he's saying that water, water, like water was everywhere from one point to the other point, from first to the last point, like water was everywhere. And I could feel the ship had water in. Even I get to know that now the ship was having water below, but I dared not abandon the wheel to investigate. Suddenly, the front hatch was thrown open and Mary appeared, and finally he didn't lose his hope, and that front hatch was thrown open, and that door all of a sudden it just open, and he saw that Mary appeared. Mary was coming, right? Mary was also like sinking in the water, and what she's saying, we are sinking, she screamed. And finally she said that just help us, help anyhow, just do something, right? Because we are sinking. So just mark up till here, we are sinking, she screamed.